Greetings again everyone, and in the test lab today are a set of new affordable cine lenses from 7Artisans, their Hope T2.1 Super 35 Cine range. They can be bought separately from between £450 to £350 each, or $490 to $370 each, or they can be bought in various sets. The set of all 6 comes in a slightly rudimentary carry case and will cost you $2,200, saving you about $160. They come in black or silver and in 10, 16, 25, 35, 50 and 85mm models, and today I'm going to be testing out the 3 widest angle lenses together. Any more than that and my brain would explode immediately trying to think about them all. Here they are within that box with all their helpful slip-on numbered lens caps. That's actually very useful. They are currently available for Sony E, Fuji X, Canon RF and Micro Four Thirds mirrorless cameras, and as Super 35 lenses they only really offer an aps-c image circle. Here's the 10mm ultra-wide lens on full frame, here's the 16, and here's the 25, which actually offers quite good coverage. And here's some footage from them when shooting in crop mode for you to get an idea of their field of view here, and now their depth of field ability at T2.1. In my experience, low-budget cine lenses can have questionable image quality, but I've heard good things about these lenses so far, so let's take a look. I'd like to thank 7Artisans for sending me these lenses for evaluation, although as usual, this is a totally independent review. As usual for cine lenses, the build quality of these things is wonderful, metallic, tough and tightly assembled, and slightly heavy at between 600 to 800 grams each. They don't appear to be weather sealed though. They are attractively and clearly designed with bright orange markings that glow under UV lighting. The rear aperture rings are geared and turn very smoothly, although I do wish their f-stops were spaced evenly. The iris mechanisms of the 10 and 16mm lenses each have 10 blades, and the 25mm lens 11. Their focus rings turn 260 degrees for plenty of precision, and their focus rings are all geared up to match positions, so you can easily swap through your follow focus gear. They turn extremely smoothly and offer distance markings in both meters and feet, visible from the left side of the lenses. Here you can see that the 10mm lens does not suffer from focus breathing. The 16mm lens and the 25mm lens both do suffer from just a touch of focus breathing, but nothing that will ever be really noticeable when shooting. The lenses come with slip-on caps which manage to stay on fairly well, thankfully, and each of them have 77mm filter threads on the front. They do not come with lens hoods, unfortunately, and as I mentioned, they are totally manual lenses with no electronics inside at all. But overall, their build quality really is quite lovely here, and I imagine those who like shooting with cine lenses will be pretty satisfied. Alright then, image quality. I'll be testing these today on a 24MP Sony aps-c camera. No in-camera corrections are available with these lenses. At T2.1, all 3 lenses offer plenty of sharpness in the middle of their images and tons of contrast. Over in the image corners, the 10 and 25mm lenses offer plenty of sharpness too, although their corners are a little dark. The 16mm lens looks brighter, but also a bit softer. The wider angle lenses show just a touch of colour fringing there too, but it's at a very low level. Stop down to T2.8 for a nice but small improvement across the 3 lenses. At T4, even the 16mm lens is looking very sharp in its corners now, and at T5.6 it catches up with the perfection of the others. They all stay this sharp down to about f16, where softness from diffraction creeps in. Overall though, a really impressive and nicely consistent performance from these 3 lenses. They offer plenty of sharpness and contrast, although the 16mm needs to be stopped down a little for very sharp image corners. This is more than enough resolution for 4K and even 6K video work. I'll just mention here though that at its brightest apertures, the 10mm lens was actually about half a stop darker than the other 5 lenses in the set, perhaps due to very heavy vignetting. Anyway, I thought that it'd be important to mention. It didn't quite reach T2.1 in my tests. Let's take a look at distortion and vignetting now. The 10mm lens suffers the worst here, as you might expect, with noticeable barrel distortion and strong vignetting at its brightest aperture. You can stop down to T4 or T5.6 to see those corners get a bit brighter, but they never offer even illumination, unfortunately, so that's a weakness of the 10mm lens. Here's the 16mm lens. Distortion sees a slight wobble but is pretty much under control, although vignetting is still quite strong. Again, stop down to T2.8 or T4 for those corners to brighten up quite well. The best performance comes from the 25mm lens though. It projects very little distortion, and even at T2.1, almost no vignetting. Nice. It's unsurprising that the two widest angle lenses would have the biggest problems here. Bear them in mind, especially when you're editing. Let's take a look at close-up image quality. The 10mm lens can focus down to 30cm, but the 16 and 25mm lenses can get much better magnification, focusing down to 25cm each. All three lenses are pretty sharp close-up, although the 16mm lens sees a lot of purple fringing there. Stop down to T2.8 and it's reduced, and the 25mm lens looks a little sharper. At T4, all three lenses offer razor-sharp close-up image quality. Now let's see how the lenses perform against bright light. All three offer a similar performance. They do show some flaring here, but it's fairly translucent and contrast remains nice and high. And finally, bokeh. Well, what do you think? To my eyes, each of the lenses have averagely smooth quality bokeh. Their backgrounds look fairly smooth here, and I didn't notice any serious problems with any of them during testing. Overall, well, these three Cine lenses are very well built, with very sharp image quality even when shooting close up, offering a decently bright maximum aperture, and they render out of focus backgrounds quite smoothly. They have low focus breathing, high contrast, and seemingly neutral colours. That's pretty much all you can ask for from a Cine lens, to be honest. The weakest of these lenses is the 10mm option. It's still very sharp, but it does suffer from stronger vignetting, distortion, and presents an overall darker image when shooting at its brightest apertures. Still works perfectly fine though, and you can at least fix most of that in editing if you need to. The key thing there is that it has plenty of sharpness. Their prices are quite reasonable too. You can get even cheaper Cine lenses than this, and sometimes even with brighter apertures, but they don't offer quite the same quality, so I can quite happily recommend these lenses for anyone on the market for Cine optics at a decent price. Thanks for watching everyone. I hope you find these reviews helpful. I love doing all this testing to discover what these lenses can really do. There are over 800 standardized tests on my channel now, all arranged into helpful playlists. It takes a lot of time and work to keep things going here though, so if you'd like to support the channel, check out my Patreon page down in the description below, where supporters get all kinds of exclusive bonus content. Ciao for now, everyone.